Hi all, this is Arvind from MindMajix and I welcome you all to this amazing session on AWS Glue tutorial. Okay, so let us quickly have a look at the agenda for today's session. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, these are the pointers that we will cover in this video. Okay, so first we'll start with what exactly is AWS Glue and then we will talk about when do you use AWS Glue. Okay, the next point of discussion will be the advantages that AWS Glue has to offer us. And then we will talk about a few concepts which are related to AWS Glue. The next point will be the workflow, as in the various steps in which you can work with AWS Glue. The last point of discussion will be the demo, wherein I will show you how do you implement AWS Glue practically. Okay.
So before moving ahead, I want you guys to subscribe to MindMajix YouTube channel and also hit the bell icon so that you never miss an update from us. So without any further delay, let's get started.
So let us begin with our first point, which is what exactly is AWS Glue? Okay, so before knowing what is AWS Glue, okay, so let us just quickly try to understand how did it came into existence. Okay, so what was the purpose, what was the need behind the idea of AWS Glue? Okay, so the ETL process has been designed specifically for the purpose of transferring data from its source database to a destination data warehouse. Okay, so however, the challenges and the complexities of the ETL process can make it very difficult to implement successfully for all of the enterprise data that is available with an organization. Okay, so this was the whole idea behind the concept of AWS Glue. Okay, so AWS Glue is a solution to the problem, which is nothing but the complexities of the ETL process. So what is ETL? ETL is nothing but extract, transform, and loading of data. Okay, so this was the whole idea behind the concept of AWS Glue. Okay, so now if you talk about the definition of what is AWS Glue, so AWS Glue is a fully managed ETL service. Okay, so ETL, as I told you, is extract, transform, and loading of data. Okay, and AWS Glue makes it very simple and cost effective to categorize your data, cleaning of data, enriching the data, and moving it reliably between various data stores. Okay, so this was a quick definition of AWS Glue. AWS Glue consists of a central metadata repository, which is known as the AWS Glue Data Catalog. It also has an ETL engine that automatically generates Python or Scala code and a flexible scheduler that handles the dependency resolution, job monitoring, and retrieves. Okay, so AWS Glue is basically serverless. So what do you mean by being serverless? So there is no infrastructure to set up or manage. Okay, so this is the biggest highlight of AWS Glue. Okay, so let's move to the next point, which is when do you use AWS Glue? Okay, so the points that we will cover in this section is basically the scenarios. Okay, so there are various scenarios where you can use AWS Glue. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, these are the various points that we will cover in this section. Okay, so the first point is you can use AWS Glue to build a data warehouse to organize, cleanse, validate, and format data. Okay, so you can transform and move AWS cloud data into your data store. You can also load data from your disparate sources or multiple sources into your data warehouse for regular reporting and analysis purpose. Okay, so by storing it in a data warehouse, you integrate information from various parts of your business and then provide a common source of data for the purpose of decision making. Okay, so this was the first point. The next point is you can use AWS Glue when you run serverless queries against your Amazon S3 data lake. Okay, so guys, for those who have some experience with AWS, they must be knowing what exactly is Amazon S3 data lake. Okay, so AWS Glue can catalog your Amazon simple storage service, which is nothing but Amazon S3 data, making it available for the querying purpose with Amazon Athena and Amazon Redshift Spectrum. Okay, so with crawlers, your metadata stays in synchronization with the underlying data. Okay, so Amazon Athena and Redshift Spectrum can directly query your Amazon S3 data lake using the AWS Glue Data Catalog. Okay, So when you hear these terms, crawlers, data catalog, so you need not worry. Okay, so we will cover them, like we will cover all these terminologies in the later part of this session. Okay, so with AWS Glue, you can access and analyze data through one unified interface without loading it into multiple data silos. Okay, so this was all about the second point. The third point here is you can use AWS Glue when you want to create event-driven ETL pipelines. Okay, so you can run your ETL jobs as soon as new data becomes available in Amazon S3 by invoking your AWS Glue ETL jobs from an AWS Lambda function. Okay, so you can also register this new data set in the AWS Glue Data Catalog as a part of your ETL job. Okay, and the last point here is you can use AWS Glue to understand your data assets. Okay, so you can store your data using various AWS services and still maintain a unified view of your data using the AWS Glue Data Catalog. You can view the data catalog to quickly search and discover the datasets that you own and maintain the relevant metadata in one central repository. Okay, so the data catalog also serves as a drop-in replacement for your external Apache Hive metastore. Okay, so these are the scenarios where you can actually use AWS Glue, and using AWS Glue in these particular scenarios will be very helpful to your organization. Okay, so basically here we have discussed the various scenarios. Okay, so let's move to the next point. Okay, so the next point of discussion is what are the benefits of AWS Glue? Okay, so the first and foremost benefit is that it is very hassle-free to use AWS Glue. Okay, so AWS Glue is integrated across a wide range of AWS services. So AWS Glue natively supports data stored in Amazon Aurora and all other Amazon RDS engines, Amazon Redshift, and Amazon S3, along with common database engines and databases in your virtual private cloud, which is nothing but Amazon VPC. And this can be running on Amazon EC2. Okay, the next point is it is very cost efficient solution for ETL service. So AWS Glue is basically serverless. So there is no infrastructure to provision or manage. So AWS Glue handles provisioning, configuration, and scaling of the resources which are required to run your ETL jobs on a fully managed scale out Apache Spark environment. So you pay only for the resources used while your jobs are running. Okay, and this makes AWS Glue a very cost-effective solution. And the third benefit here is the increased power. So AWS Glue automates much of the effort in building, maintaining, and running the ETL jobs. It crawls your data sources, identifies the data formats, and suggests schemas and transformations. So AWS Glue automatically generates the code to execute your data transformation and loading process. Okay, so these are the three important benefits of AWS Glue. Okay, so guys, let's move ahead. Okay, and the next point of discussion here is there are a few concepts, or you can say the terminologies that you must be aware of before gaining hands-on experience with AWS Glue. Okay, so what are those terminologies? So as you can see on the screen, these are the terminologies that you must know before using AWS Glue. Okay, so let us quickly discuss these concepts one by one. So the first concept here is the data catalog. Okay, so what do you mean by data catalog? So the persistent metadata stored in AWS Glue is nothing but the data catalog. So it contains table definitions, job definitions, and other control information to manage your AWS Glue environment. Each AWS account has one data catalog per region. Okay, so the next terminology here is classifier. So what is a classifier? So it basically determines the schema of your data. So AWS Glue provides classifiers for common file types such as CSV, JSON, Avro, XML, and so on. It also provides classifiers for common relational database management systems using a JDBC connection. So you can write your own classifier by using a grok pattern or by specifying a row tag in an XML document. The next concept here is that of connection. So what is a connection? So connection contains the properties that are required to connect to your data store. The next point is crawler. So crawler is a program that connects to a data store which can be either a source or a target, then progresses through a prioritized list of classifier to determine the schema for your data. And then it creates metadata tables in the data catalog. Okay, so the next concept here is that of database. So database is nothing but a set of associated data catalog table definitions which are organized into a logical group in AWS Glue. Okay, so the next point is data source and data target. So data store is a repository for persistently storing your data. So if you take an example here, this can include Amazon S3 buckets and relational databases. So data source is a data store that is used as input to process or transform. And what is a data target? So a data target is a data store that a process or a transform writes to. Okay, the next point here is the development endpoint. So development endpoint is an environment that you can use to develop and test your AWS Glue ETL scripts. Okay, the next point is job. So what do you mean by job? So job is nothing but a business logic which is required to perform the ETL operation. So it is composed of a transformation script, data sources, and data target. So job runs are initiated by triggers that can be scheduled or triggered by a particular event. Okay, so the next point here is notebook server. So a web-based environment that you can use to run your PySpark statements is nothing but a notebook server. So PySpark is a Python dialect for ETL programming. Okay, so you can set up a notebook server on a development endpoint to run PySpark statements with AWS Glue extensions. The next point here is that of a script. So what is a script? So script is nothing but a code that extracts the data from sources, transforms it, and loads it into the target. So AWS Glue generates PySpark or Scala scripts. Okay, the next point here is the that of table. So a metadata definition that represents your data is nothing but a table. So whether your data is in an Amazon S3 file or into an Amazon relational data service, which is nothing but RDS, or it can be another set of data, a table defines the schema for your data. So table in AWS Glue Data Catalog consists of the names of the columns, data type definitions, partition information, and other metadata about a base dataset. The schema of your data is represented in AWS Glue table definition. The actual data remains in its original data store, whether it be in a file or a relational database table. So AWS Glue catalogs your files and relational database tables in the AWS Glue Data Catalog. So you can use them as sources and targets when you create the ETL job. The next point over here is that of transform. So using transform, you use the code logic to manipulate your data into a different format. And the last point over here is the trigger. So what do you mean by a trigger? So trigger initiates an ETL job. So you can define triggers based on scheduled time or a particular event. So these are the concepts, or you can say the terminologies that you must be aware of before moving to the hands-on part of AWS Glue. Okay, so now let us move ahead and discuss the most important part of this session, which is nothing but the AWS Glue workflow. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, this is the image. Okay, so what is this image? So this image basically represents the AWS Glue workflow. How exactly, or you can say, what are the steps that are available in AWS Glue to transform, basically to extract, transform, and load your data. Okay, so in AWS Glue, you define jobs to accomplish the work that is required to extract, transform, and load the data from a data source to a data target. Okay, so here basically there are 4 steps. Okay, so the first step is definition of a crawler, or you can say defining a crawler. So firstly, you define a crawler to populate your AWS Glue Data Catalog with metadata table definitions. So you point your crawler at a data store, and then the crawler creates table definitions in the data catalog. In addition to the table definitions, the data catalog contains other metadata that is required to define the ETL jobs. So you use this metadata when you define a job to transform your data. Okay, so this was the first step. The second step is generating a script. So AWS Glue can generate a script to transform your data, or you can also provide the script on your own in AWS Glue Console or the API. Okay, the next point is running of a job. Okay, so you can run your job on demand, or you can set it up to start when a specified trigger occurs. So the trigger can be a time-based schedule or an event. Okay, and the last step is the ETL process, actual ETL process. Okay, so when your job runs, a script extracts your data from your data source, then it transforms the data, and then it loads it into your data target. Okay, so this script runs in the Apache Spark environment in AWS Glue. Okay, so this was the overall workflow of AWS Glue. Okay, so this was basically the theory part. And in the next part of this session, I will also show you a real-time example wherein we will discuss this AWS Glue workflow.
Okay, guys, so I think we have covered enough of the theory part. Okay, so now it is time to move to the actual hands-on part of this session. Okay, so now I'm going to show you all of this theory part, like the workflow of the AWS Glue. Okay, so I will take one example and I will practically show you how things work in AWS. Okay, so let's switch to the AWS console over here. Okay, so first and foremost thing, you must sign up for the AWS. Okay, so this is the AWS website, aws.amazon.com. Okay, and here you have to, what you have to do is you have to, if you don't have an account, you have to sign up first. Okay, so since I already have an account over here, so what I'll do is I'll click on sign in to the console. Okay, so here by default it is root user. Okay, and this is my email address. Okay, so what I have to do is I have to click on next and I have to enter some security checks. Okay, so let me do that. Okay, so once you do that, you have to enter your password. Okay, so let me just quickly enter my password. Okay, so yeah, so I've entered the password over here, and this is the AWS Management Console. Okay, so for those who have no experience with AWS, okay, so this is what the AWS Management Console looks like. Over here, if you click on services, okay, so these are the various services that are available with AWS. Okay, and now we will straight away start with our demo part. Okay, so what you have to do is, so here we will be discussing the AWS Glue workflow. Okay, so for that, what you have to do is you have to create an S3 bucket over here. Okay, so how do you go to S3? So simply type S3 over here in the search. Okay, so as you can see here, this in the services part, you get the first result, which is S3, and here you have to click on buckets. So once you do that, you will be navigated to this page. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to create one bucket over here. Okay, so the purpose of creating a bucket is here we have, here we will have two folders. One will be the read folder and one will be the write folder inside this bucket. And let me just quickly show you how do you do that. So what I'll do is I'll click on create bucket. Okay, so you can name the bucket whatever you want as per your convenience. So I will name it over here Glue bucket and Okay, so I'll just name this bucket over here and I'll just scroll down and I'll click on create bucket. Okay, so as you can see here, this bucket has been created by this name glue bucket Okay, so once I click on that bucket, so what, as I've told you earlier, we have to create two folders over here. Okay, so what is the purpose of creating those two folders? First of all, those folders are read and write. Okay, so the read folder will be a place from where we will fetch our data. Okay, and the right folder will be the place where we will write the output of our job. Okay, so we will be performing a job over here, and the output of that job will be written in the right folder of the Amazon S3 bucket. Okay, so I'll just quickly create two folders over here. So as you can see here, there is this option of create folder. Okay, so let me just name this folder read, scroll down, create folder. Similarly, another folder called write. Okay, so quickly create folder. Okay, so as you can see here, these two folders have been created. So let me click on read over here. Okay, so now what you have to do is you have to add one file here. Okay, so what will be that file? Okay, so let me just quickly show you what is that file. Okay, so here we have a text file. Okay, so as you can see here, we have taken a very small example, and this is basically a list of top 10 Indian movies with highest IMDb ratings. Okay, so I've got this data from the IMDb website. Okay, so here we have top 10 movies, like the Indian movies. So not necessarily Bollywood, they can be from any language. Okay, so we have top 10 movies over here. Okay, so the fields over here are rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 10. Then we have the movie title, which is nothing but the movie name. Okay, and the year of release, in which year they were released, and the rating, the IMDb rating over here. Okay, so this is the data that we have with us. Okay, and this is the comma separated values over here we have. Okay, so this is a very simple data that we have with us, and we will apply some operations on this data. Okay, so this is the input file that we have. Okay, so we just have to, what you have to do, you have to just add this file over here. So how do you do that? In the glue bucket and in the read folder. So what you have to do is you have to click on upload. Okay, so once you click on upload, you can see this option. So let me just show you again, add files. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to go on this movie data. Okay, so as you can see here, this file has been added, and click on upload. Okay, so here you can see upload succeeded. Okay, so our file has been added in the read folder. So now what you have to do is you have to search on, like in this search tab, what you have to type glue, AWS Glue basically. Okay, so once you click on that, so you'll be navigated to a page. Okay, so as we have discussed earlier, the various terminologies that are associated with AWS Glue, if you remember. Okay, so the first and foremost step over here is creating a crawler. Okay, so click on crawler over here. Okay, so this was a previously created crawler. So let me just delete this. Okay, and we will create it again. Okay, so what you have to do is to create a new crawler, you have to click on add a crawler. Okay, and you can name your crawler whatever you want. Okay, so let me just name it glue demo and crawler. Okay, you have to click on next over here. So here by default, these options are selected. Crawler source type, it is data store, and repeat crawls of S3 data stores. By default, it is crawl all folders. So let me just click on next over here. Okay, so this option by default, it is S3. We do not need any connection over here. Okay, so this is the default option over here, crawl data in specified path in my account. Okay, and now in the include part, what you have to do is you have to select the S3. And in S3, you have to select this bucket, glue bucket We have created this bucket just few minutes ago. Okay, so you just have to select this bucket over here. So you can see the path of this bucket over here. Click on next. Add another data store. No. Click on next. Okay, so choose an IAM role. So what is IAM? Identity and Access Management Service of AWS. So here we are creating a new role. Okay, and you can type whatever you want. You can name it whatever you want. So let me just name it Glue Demo MM and then IAM. Okay, so let me just click on next over here. Okay, so frequency for this crawler is run on demand. Okay, so let me just click on next. Okay, so here you have to choose a database. So what you can do is you can create a new database over here. So let me just name this database Glue Demo MM DB. Okay, so here it says database already exists. Okay, so here we need not create a new database. So let me just select it. Okay, so if you want, like I had already created this previously, so I'm just selecting it from this drop down menu. So what you can do is you can create a new database also. Okay, and name it whatever you want. So let me just click on next over here. Okay, so let's just quickly review this information over here. Okay, and if everything is okay, click on finish. Okay, so we have successfully created a crawler, and now what you have to do is you have to run this crawler. Okay, so let me just click on run over here. Okay, so what this crawler will do, it will crawl or gather all the data. Okay, so not the data, basically it will gather the information about the data. So the data about the data is nothing but metadata, and it will create one table over here. So once this crawler will be successful, so here you will see a table added over here. So as of now it is 0. So once it is successful, you will be able to see 1 over here. Okay, so this is basically the job of the crawler. So we'll have to wait for a few seconds over here. As you can see, the status is being updated. So let's just wait for a few more seconds. Okay, so here it says the status is stopping. Okay, and tables updated 1. Okay, so we are on the correct path over here. So guys, I hope you are understanding whatever we are trying to cover in this session. Okay, so for those people who have experience with AWS, I don't think they will face any problem in this demo part. But for those guys who are very new to the AWS, like those who are freshers, you need not panic. Okay, so the best way to gain hands-on experience with AWS is the you have to explore the various services. Okay, and the beauty of AWS is that whenever you click or you want to explore any service, they have the documentation part ready. Okay, so what you can do is you just have to click on, like if you want to explore any service over here, you can click on any one of them, and they have the get started part. Like basically that is the documentation where you can get started with any particular service. Okay, so this is a very easy thing that you can follow in AWS. Okay, so our crawler has been successful. Okay, so here it says tables updated 1. Okay, and we are good to go to the next part over here. Okay, so what is the next part? You have to click on in this left hand side, you can see this jobs. Okay, so there are basically 2 jobs over here. This is the latest one, and this is the older one. Okay, so let me just click on jobs over here. And now what you have to do is we have to create a new job. So as discussed earlier, what is a job? A job is your business logic, which is required to perform the ETL operation. Okay, so job runs are initiated by triggers, which can be scheduled or driven by events. Okay, I think we have discussed this part earlier. So let me just quickly create a new job over here. And what you can do is you can name it whatever you want. So let me just name it Glue Demo job. Okay, so now you have to select the IAM role that we just previously created. Okay, so let me just select it, and the type is Spark over here. The Glue version is by default. It has been selected. Okay, so this job runs by default. You can see this option, a proposed script generated by AWS Glue. Okay, so AWS Glue can generate a script for you. Okay, but now in this part, we will select this portion, a new script to be authored by you. Okay, so we will write a particular script for this ETL operation. Okay, so let me just quickly scroll down, and these are the by default things, and we need not change anything over here. Okay, so let me just click on next. Okay, so we do not have to do anything over here. Okay, so save job and edit script. Okay, so now here in this portion we have to write this script. Okay, so guys, I've already written a script over here, and let us just quickly discuss the script. Okay, so basically what we will do is, this is a Spark script and it is written in Python language. Okay, so here what we have to do is, basically we will perform the ETL operation with our data. Okay, so here what you have to take care is, you have to carefully see these parameters over here. Okay, so the database that we just created in the AWS console, you have to correctly name this database. The glue table over here, okay, you have to name this table. So how do you name this table? So let me just go to the console again. Okay, so in the jobs, no, in this crawler, we had created one crawler, right? So let me just, okay, so here as you can see, this glue database is the glue demo mmdb. Okay, so we just have to be careful with the parameters over here. Okay, so these are the parameters and these are the names. Okay, and this is the glue table. Okay, so guys, when we successfully ran the crawler, okay, so this was a crawler that we ran. Okay, so it had created one table over here, and which is that table? So this is the metadata table. Okay, so what is its name? Glue underscore bucket underscore mm. Okay, so that is the thing that we have provided over here. Okay, and the output path of our ETL operation. Okay, so basically the ETL operation that we will be performing in the script, so the output of that operation will be written in the write file, as we had discussed earlier in this starting portion. Okay, so the path of the write is s3 glue bucket mm and the write folder. Okay, so now what we are doing, this is the basically the business logic of our data. Okay, so here what we are doing, we are extracting the data. Basically, we are reading the data. Okay, so basically it was the CSV file. Okay, so all the values were separated by commas. Okay, so this is reading of the file. Then what we are doing is, we are transforming the data. We are modifying, or you can say we can apply any logic as per our business requirements. Okay, so in this particular example, what we are doing is, we are applying the transformation on the data such that we will get the output in the form of few columns. Okay, so the output of this operation will be, first column will be the movie, then it will be the, you can say, the decade or the year and the average rating for that movie. Okay, so let's say for example, in the decade 1990 to 2000, there were 3 movies. Okay, and the average rating of these movies is calculated in the third column. Okay, so basically this is the business logic over here in the transform part. Okay, and the last part of this script is the loading, or you can say the writing of the data. Okay, so we are writing the script, and the output will be written again to the Amazon S3 bucket.
Okay, and here the partition keys will be like the number of partition keys will decide the number of output files. Okay, so here as of now we have only one output file, so the partition will be only one. Okay, and the reason for creating one partition is that because we have the very less amount of data. Okay, so this is the script that we have over here, and let me just copy this script. Okay, and what we will do is we will paste it over here. Okay, in this portion. Okay, so let me just quickly go through this and let me just verify that everything is okay. Okay, so everything looks perfect. Okay, so now what you have to do is you have to just save this and you have to run this job over here. Okay, so let me just click on run job. Okay, so this might take a few seconds. Till then we'll have to wait. We have no other option over here. Okay, and here you can see the logs, the status of our job basically. Okay. Okay, guys, so as you can see here, we're getting some output. So let's just wait for a few more seconds. The job is still running. Okay. Okay. So guys, as you can see here, this is the output that we are getting over here. So as I've told you earlier, this is the output that we will get. The first column will be decade, then the movie count, like the number of movies in that particular decade, and the average rating for that movie. Okay. And as I've told you that we will be getting the output in the S3 bucket right folder. Okay, so let me just quickly go to S3, Amazon S3 bucket. Okay, so this was the bucket that we had created. Okay, and this is the right folder. Okay, so as you can see here, a file has been generated over here. So let me just click on that file and let me just click on download. So you can download it on your system. Okay, so this will take a few seconds. So it's not that big. And let me just open this and I'm opening it with Notepad. Okay. So guys, as you can see here, this is the output that we have. Decade, movie count, rating mean, like the average rating. So in the decade 2000, there were 3 movies and the average rating is this 8.33. In the decade 2020, there were 2 movies and the average rating for them is 8.45. Similarly, decade 2010, 1970, 1990, 1950, 1980. Okay, for the rest of the decades, there is only one movie and this is the average rating for them. Okay, so this is the output that we have. Okay, and that's all. Like this is what we wanted to do. Okay, and we have successfully done the ETL operation with Amazon, or you can say the AWS Glue. Okay, so this is how things work in AWS Glue. Okay, so this was a very simple and easy example. Okay, so basically the purpose of having this hands-on session is like it was to get you started with AWS Glue. Similarly, okay, so as you can see over here, we have this various portions, classifiers, schemas. Okay, then we have workflows, triggers, notebooks, or as well. Okay, so you can explore these portions as well on your own. Okay, and that was all from my side in this demo portion. And with this, we have come to the end of this session on AWS Glue. Okay, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this session and you have understood whatever we have covered over here. So if you have any doubt with this session, you can write them in the comments box and my team is here to help you with all your doubts and queries. Okay, so I'll share the Spark script in the description box. Okay, so you can download that script and you can use it. Okay, so thank you so much for being with us and have a good day.